All right, good morning, guys. I am Kenny Smith, also known as Kenny the Trainer, here with the Superintendent of Victor Elementary School District, Ms. Jan Gonzalez. Jan, good
Good
morning.
morning.
I also have with us Nykia Jones, who is a sixth grade teacher at Galileo Academy. Nykia, good morning.
Good morning. Good
I'm going to
morning.
call you guys Ms. Gonzalez and Ms. Jones for this, if that's okay with you guys.
Okay.
All
That's
right.
fine.
All right, so basically our discussion today is going to dive into what's happening now, what's going to happen as far as school is concerned, and how we expect things to change in the upcoming months, weeks, whatever we have. So Jan, I wanna start with you really quick because um, we've been hearing a lot. I try not to watch the news, but people post things on Facebook, and that's kind of where I get my sources of information from. But I always double check the source that they're posting to make sure that it's something that I can trust. Although we know we're not going to dive into the news trustworthiness. But one thing that I've seen recently is that LAUSD is planning to open school again August 18th. However, it's unsure how it's going
Going
to
to-
proceed. So,
Right.
do you have any insight of how what we can expect on our end, VESD?
I wish I did, but we're hearing different scenarios and nothing's been decided yet. We're hearing that there are some people out there that want to keep us going with distance learning to avoid a second run, especially around flu season.
Yeah.
Um, we're also hearing that there could be more of a hybrid model where you have to observe social distancing in the classroom, which means you could bring part of your class back on a day-to-day basis, and then the rest of their time would be at home distance learning. And then there's always the third option where they go ahead and say everyone can come back. So as a district, we're preparing for all three, but at this time, we don't have an answer yet.
Um,
I wish I did, because there is some major planning that has to go on that's different for each of those models, and we need some time to do it. So we're hoping for an answer pretty quick here.
right. All right, Nykia, Ms. Jones, hearing that, how does that affect the way you would normally set up your class, or what are your emotions, your feelings about that? Hearing that, that we might have three different approaches to going back to school.
A little anxious. We are an elementary school, so we're used to having all of our students in one classroom.
Right.
So we prep at least a week. Sometimes some teachers come in 2-3 weeks before school starts. So we prep our classroom. We want to get to know who our kids are. I prepare, their basic utensils. I make little things called care packages for them. So it's a little anxious. We're just sitting around kind of just, I don't want to say twiddling our thumb, but we don't know what to expect, what's going to happen in the future. And so main concern is just for the kids right now,
Right.
their social emotional well-being, because I'm quite sure I know that I'm unsure, so I can only imagine how they feel right now. So I know a lot of my colleagues, what we discuss is we just think about our kids, what they're going through right now, and what they are probably wondering about what to expect in the future. A lot of them think, they were asking me, are we going to go to 7th grade? I'm like, yes, sweetheart, you're going to go to 7th grade. So they're very concerned as well.
Yeah. I think from a parent's perspective, hearing these different options, I got to admit, sending my kids back to school for me right now is not an option. Like, I personally don't want to take the chance of sending my kids to school and them possibly catching something. You know
Yes.
what I mean? On the flip side of that, I do think about having smaller classes, because one thing that I did notice, is the overcrowding of classrooms,
Mm-hmm.
and that effect that it has on a kid's abilities to learn. If you have 30 something kids and your kid is already struggling to learn something, it made it harder. So going into a smaller class setting I think would be great.
Mhm.
However, now that means that the schools are going to have to hire more teachers. There's going to be more classes. So,
Not necessarily. So what if it was a hybrid model like that, what it would look like is, and in talking with our director of facilities and actually architects, if you have to social distance in a classroom, that means 10 to 12 kids. That's it. What that would look like then, Kenny, would be you could have 10 or 12 come in on Monday, 10 to 12 come in on a different 10 to 12 come in on Tuesday, a different 10 to 12 come in on Wednesday. It would look like that. The problem with that is we have to take in consideration our teachers,
right,
because the teachers would have these small groups there to instruct. At the same time, they're responsible for preparing distance learning for the kids who are still at home.
Mhm.
So it's a cluster that we're going to have to work through.
right,
It is.
and we're going to figure out the best way for our teachers and our students to do this if we have to go with the hybrid. But I agree with you. I'm probably one of the ones that agree with you where, right now is too soon to
Oh,
bring
yeah.
kids back. We don't want anything to happen to our students. At the same time, our teachers are doing a brilliant job with distance learning, and every day, we're seeing examples how it's getting better, because this is like they were throwing a whole brand new job in their lap
right.
and say, okay, overnight you got to do this. So what they're doing is just, it's flabbergasting to me. It's how well they're doing, and it'll just keep improving. So I have a lot of confidence in what distance will look like by the time we get to August and open.
Mhm.
But I also know that if we have to do a hybrid model, we'll get it done. We'll get it done and we'll do it well. And then if we have to bring everybody back, which I highly doubt that's what's going to look like, we'll make it work in the best way possible. But we also understand that there will be a lot of parents that'll say, absolutely not.
Right.
And that we'll have to expand our independent study programs at home as well,
Yes.
which is possible.
Right.
So all three ways we're going to make it work, and it'll go well when it comes. But that middle one, that hybrid one, is going to be
The challenge.
it'll be a challenge. We'll get her done though, and we'll find the best way for our people, for our stakeholders.
Okay. One of the other things that I found interesting is parents being thrown that same brick that was thrown at the teachers. We had to adjust overnight. We now had to become teachers overnight. We now had to dive into work that some of us have not done in 20 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
Google had become our best friend.
Yeah.
Because some of the problems, some of the math, some of the whatever the kids were working on was just crazy. And I can only imagine for some of the parents who work full time. Luckily for me, I do run my own business, so I was able to be here. But some people that are essential workers and still had to come home and still had to work,
Mm-hmm.
they've been struggling.
Yes.
Yep.
And there was an article that I posted on the Teachers Tutor Network where it said that some parents had just completely given up on distant learning.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to parents who are feeling hopeless, who are beyond frustrated, who just had enough, who are not getting any answers, who don't know where else to turn? What do you say to them, Jan?
My first piece of it is when we started this distance learning, we called it on March 13th, so that meant March 16th we started, right? Or, well, some teachers started, a few started a little later because we had to get a lot together before. We had to get Chromebooks out, the whole 9 yards. You remember that. But our first intention was to do enrichment. So what that means is we wanted our kids to maintain where they were and just keep plugging away at that practicing at home. If we have to do 100% distance learning or even 50% distance learning or whatever model it is in August, it's going to be different, Kenny. It's going to have to be learning then, which means we have to provide more for the kids from our standpoint, we have to provide more for those children in the learning piece. So that takes the burden off the parents. If I were a parent right now, if I were a parent of a primary grade student, so that means anywhere from transitional kindergarten to third grade, I would focus on reading and nothing else. Nothing else. I wouldn't do anything else. So get them outside, do a little PE, of course, and all, work on their social emotional, but work on reading, nothing else. If I were a parent of an intermediate student, so 4, 5, 6 now, I think I would look to, make sure, depending on where my child's at, if my child's a little below grade level in reading, that's where I'm still going to focus on that. I'm still going to work on that reading. If they're at grade level or above grade level in reading, I'm going with math now. I'm going to go straight math and encourage them to read 30 minutes a day, talk about whatever they're reading with them, but I'm going to go with math. So that's what I would do at this point in time. Take all that other stuff off your shoulders. Take it all off.
Yes.
You're not grading parents. We're not grading you either.
Right.
By all means, we're not grading you. We're not grading your kids. We're not grading you at this point in time.
Right.
Take that all off your shoulders and just focus on one or the other, depending on where your child's at.
Now, Ms. Jones, have you experienced any of the frustrations from parents as far as, some of the things that you sent home, or have you had any students that you noticed that just aren't doing anything anymore, or not doing Zoom meetings or anything?
First, I did want to piggyback off of Jan, and I just want to give you a kudos for starting the Teachers Tutor Network. I thought that was an awesome idea. It's a great way to community organize, and I suggest that any parent in any district, in any community, do something like that, where you can pull all your resources together to try to help everyone together. So kudos to you for that, Kenny. That's great. Second, to answer your question, since I teach 6th grade, I kind of already prepared my students for independent learning, because going into middle school, that's something they need to already expect how to be. And so I do a lot of online programs that come with our curriculum. So they were already ready to go. They got their Chromebooks. I talk to them every day. I have Zoom sessions, an hour meeting. I have weekly meetings as a class. But no, I have not gotten any parents complaining or not understanding. They've been very grateful. Every day it's thank you, Ms. Jones, for everything that you're doing. And I just try to encourage my parents, same thing that Jan said, take all of that weight off of your shoulders. Right now, we're not grading. Right now, we're not grading you. I told my parents the number one thing is your safety and well-being for the kids and yourself. So with that being said, our Zoom meetings are pleasant. They go very well. And my kids, like I said, they already were prepared for independent learning. So for primary students, though, I could see how that could be a challenge, And so I could, understand if those parents of primary students are a little frustrated because of what they have to do, and those kids may not be prepared with logging in and all the other things that come with online learning.
And I think a lot of parents too are just, they may lack the knowledge of the new technology.
Yeah.
And so that, that adds a little more difficulty. And I have to say too, the Teachers Tutor Network initially started with an idea that you and I had always spoke about, Nykia, helping kids, basically what it was about.
Yeah.
And so my thing was, me and my wife, we sat and we were helping our kids with work. And then, she get frustrated. So then I come in. And then there'll be some points I get frustrated, and then we have to, it just goes back and forth. And I would assume that is what is going on in other households. Hold on, I got this thing on my computer. And so I said, I need to create something that where people can go and reach out, because I didn't want to just go to Google, because I kind of felt like it was cheating.
And sometimes Google doesn't tell you the concept. It's important to know the concept that your students are supposed to be learning. That way you can explain it, in detail and a little bit more.
Yeah.
Depth.
I think also too, one second, guys, I'm having some difficulties. My screen just stopped.
Just so you know, you look fine from here.
Yes.
All right, perfect. I wanted to create this platform where everyone can just go and pose questions and get answers. And the good thing that I like about the Teachers Tutor Network is that there's a lot of teachers on there, and they're not just giving the answers, they're also explaining to parents how to get the answer, which has been a great thing. And we're about almost 1,000 members on that page, which is great. And I like to see it grow. But I think also too, parents are still afraid. Like being a teacher, you ever ask if there's any more questions, and then no one has questions, and then as soon as you go off to be by yourself, then everyone has a question that could have helped everyone. So I think that page is just like that. No parent wants to seem like they don't know what to do or how to help their child, and so they don't ask.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a great thing that people are asking and they're getting the help. So I do think that, the distant learning thing could be a plus for some kids, especially with the engagement of the parents,
Mm-hmm.
because I think a lot of parents are absent and they don't engage with their kids. And so it does make it hard for the kids to learn. And I think with that parent involvement, I think the kids are getting a lot more out of it. I could be wrong, but I don't know. Ms. Jones, what do you think? Because I do see that a lot of parents sometimes don't participate in things. And I think that this distant learning is helping. It's either one of two things. Either it's going to build a lot more frustration between parents and students, or it's going to bring them together and they're going to get that interaction from their parents that are going to help them in the long run with their learning.
I see that as well. With us being home and this unfortunate situation that we're in, I do see some positives right now. It's a really good time. You have to stay positive, even for myself.
Yeah.
I'm still in school myself. Now I have to be I was already an online learner, but I'm doing like simulation school where I have a fake class and I have to do these types of things. So it's different for me. But I think right now that we need to focus on, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I have a message coming in from a parent. Can you excuse me right now? I'm so sorry.
Jan, I'll go into this question because there were some things that I had been reading about our district going back for summer school.
Right.
And I don't know if that's like separate from us starting early as LAUSD starting in August. I know we normally start on August 13th-ish.
Yeah, no, it is separate. It's a normal, typically we have, in-seat summer school. This time it'll be just virtual summer school.
Okay.
And so things have to be determined still, Kenny, the age group where we need to focus, that's being determined as we speak.
Okay.
But it is separate, and we'll go, if and when we start back, it'll be the normal start time. The governor spoke yesterday about us entering into stage 2 this Friday,
Right.
but said that there's no determination on when schools would come back. And so he realizes he made a little bit of, he didn't, by, just to let you know, make a little mistake by announcing last week that, schools could start as early as July.
Yeah.
And insinuating that everyone would be coming back in July. Well, he made a mistake there. Right. And basically what he's saying is that, whenever you start, whether it's the end of July, August, September, we'll start. We just don't know what it's going to look like yet.
Man, that's...
yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I think, there's so much going on in the news as far as numbers are concerned, as far as how many cases there are, as far as this being real, this being fake. And, to be honest, my main thing for me is just making sure I am staying safe, keeping my kids safe, keeping my family safe. I do have friends and clients who are in the medical field, and they've told me stories in cases and things like that. So I want to make sure that I'm safe. I want to make sure that other students, other teachers are safe, everyone's safe. And I personally do not think that going back to summer school, starting back school early right now is smart.
No. So summer school would be virtual. It'll be distance learning.
And I think think that, you know, these teachers are doing a great thing by being able, excuse me, hold on. It's not Corona, I promise, not Corona. I think the teachers are being, Jesus Christ. I think they're doing a good job by doing these Zoom meetings, because for me, my kids personally, it's helping them deal with, you know, just being thrown that same brick that these teachers and these parents were thrown. Because, you know, seeing their teachers daily or once a week, twice a week on these Zoom meetings, it helps them focus. It helps them continue on, because without that, I think my kids personally would just be like, there's no hope.
Yeah.
I don't get to see my teacher. I don't get to see my friends. And, you know, it's been good that my kids teacher, they have the Zoom meetings with as many kids from the class as they can get.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that continuing that is going to help them a lot.
Yes.
My daughter had, you know, she shed a couple of tears, because she's like, well, what about our promotion? You know, my daughter's going into 7th grade. So for her, it's kind of, it was sad, you know, and I know that a lot of students are feeling the same way. But I just want to, you know, tell teachers to just continue to do these Zoom meetings, continue to keep those kids encouraged. I know, Nykia, I know you're doing that. I don't know how often you are meeting with your students, but I know
I
you're.
meet with them every day except on Wednesdays, because that's our teacher weekly meeting. But I meet with my kids every day, and I let them know. I just have like an open Zoom.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday, we all meet together as a whole class, because you can imagine 33 sixth graders in a Zoom meeting. You know how that can go. And I allow them to express themselves, because they need that right now. They're used to being in a classroom with their classmates. You know, even one of my students said before, it feels like a family in here. So right now, imagine if they feel like that's a family, their family has been broken apart.
Yeah.
And some students, unfortunately, don't have the best home life. So we think about those kids as well, you know. But I think it is important to show some sort of normalcy for the students. So I do provide a Zoom where they can just come in, and it's optional every day for academic questions. And sometimes they just want to come in just to say, hi, Miss Jones, and tell me what they're doing. And that's okay too. Because right now, I think the social emotional for the kids is kind of the most important thing, like you said, so they don't get hopeless and feel like, is this it? What's going to happen? You know, feeling like this is the end or something like that. Yeah. So I think it's important as teachers that we do provide that for them.
And also too, Jan, even with the kids picking up the lunches.
Yeah.
That was also a way for them to, you know, stay positive as well, because they get to see their school.
Right.
We were taking our kids every day, and then we got the notice that they're gonna distribute the lunches. I believe it's once a week.
Once a week.
Yeah, and I'm sure that gives the people that are preparing the lunches and everybody a break. But that also gave the kids a little bit of hope, because on the way to school, they would run into friends that are also picking up their lunches, and they're able to say hi. So I think, you know, continuing these types of things are only going to be beneficial to the kids in the long run. And that's my main concern, is, you know, my kids. And I'm sure there's a lot of parents out there who feel the same way. What do you say about, you know, continuing things like that for the kids' mental?
So the feeding program, we've got it planned so to go through the end of June now. And then we have to go back and regroup and see how to pick it up beginning in July 1st, which we're going to try very hard to do. So we'll keep it pushing it so that the kids can come through. I totally agree with you. I have 3 grandkids in the district as well. And like you, Nykia, I worry about the older kids, because, you know, there's so much that they're missing out on. My heart totally breaks for graduating seniors this year.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine to have to give up the prom, their graduation, everything that they've been looking for. Also concerned about our little ones, because, you know, the kids in 6th grade stuff, you know, a lot of them can reach out with a phone and talk to a friend once in a while and have that contact, but our little ones are having no contact. They're not doing that. Yeah. So I'm really pleased to see the teachers get on the Zoom. And I've noticed, like, I've sat in on a few now and then observed a few, um, where, you know, the teacher will be the focus while there's instruction going on, but at the end of the session, they open it up for everybody to see everybody, and then the kids can then talk and socialize, and I hope they continue that, because the kids need that. They really need to see those other faces out there alive and well and laughing, and you know, whether they're deciding whatever the teachers got planned for them, they're having a good time at it, and that's so needed right now for these children. So needed.
Yeah.
Um,
I think, so Ms. Gonzalez, are there any resources or maybe just the VESD website where parents can stay updated
yes. So if
information?
you go on to our website, we do have, especially under the Ed Services Department, Educational Services, there are a ton of resources, and it's not just academic resources. We've got social emotional resources on there as well for families. Because like I said, this isn't easy, and some kids are reacting very differently than
Mhm.
others to this crisis. And if they need a little extra help, they just need to let us know. Our psychologists are working as we speak. They're making phone calls, they're checking in with kids. So communicate with your teacher, communicate with your principal, and if there's any help that's needed, we'll get you that help.
Thank you. Nykia, before we go, any last words of encouragement you want to send to any kids, any parents out there? Um,
I'll just say what I told my parents in the beginning. They were a little concerned about the learning and report cards and everything like that. This is an unprecedented situation. We are all in it together. Right now, I would focus on social emotional well-being of your student or your child, and making sure that you and your family stay healthy right now. Education, everything, once we get through this pandemic, everything will resume and we'll go back to normal. But right now, we want the safety and the health of everyone.
Perfect. And Ms. Gonzalez, any last words of encouragement or anything you want to inform parents about before we go?
You know, I just want to say how proud I am of everyone, and that's not just our staff, that's our parents too.
Mhm.
um, I had the good fortune to sit in. Several teachers are now starting parent meetings for the same reason that you're speaking about, Kenny. So the parents can get on. They call it "quote unquote" happy hour, but the happy hour means that it's at 8:30 at night while the kids are in bed.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah. So but they're just sharing their struggles. Like, my son doesn't want to sit here and do, so then you know, everyone's plugging with ideas. Just do a schedule, do 15 minutes and then a 10-minute break, 50, you know, they're just giving help that way. And the more you can engage with others, the better. But I couldn't be prouder of our parents right now for what they're doing. You know, like our teachers, they've been thrown into this, and like you said, Kenny, with no forewarning even.
Mhm.
So, but they're doing a brilliant job. And, you know, most children are thriving right now
Yeah.
in their homes with the love of their parents. And, you know, I agree with you. There's some out there I'm concerned about. We're not hearing from a few, but we're reaching out, and we're going to get there one way or another. So I'm just proud. I'm very, very proud of every stakeholder in VESD, and that strongly includes the parents.
All right, well, ladies, I definitely appreciate you guys taking the time out to talk to me, and hopefully we've covered enough to give parents some hope, and going forward, you know, hopefully everyone is informed. They can definitely reach out to me at the Teachers Tutor Network if anybody is struggling or needs help or anything. If you can find Miss Jones on the Teachers Tutor Network. I'm sure Jan Gonzalez's information is somewhere floating on the ESD website if anyone
Yep.
wants to reach out to her
Yep.
directly. But for me, I just want to say, you know, we're all going through something, and it's just a matter of how well we hold it together. I know it's easy for everyone to fall into a state of hopelessness, but it's just a matter of holding it all together and knowing that better days are ahead for everyone, and that this too shall pass, as they say. And I'm hopeful. I know it will be greater later, but it's just something we got to deal with now. So again, I thank you guys for being here, and appreciate you guys taking the time to talk.
Kenny, thank you. You're a pillar of the community, and I appreciate it.
You're very welcome, Nykia. Thank you. You guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, stay healthy, wash those hands, and wear those masks.
Yep.
All right, I'll see you guys later. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.